Okay, hello everyone. This video today is going to be a little bit different from the other ones that you maybe have seen, the other ones in the channel. Um, as always, this is a video from the art team, and I'm Cal. If you're looking for visa step videos, you can find the visa step videos for the 7 countries in the description below. But this video today is not for visa steps, but it is for something that you're going to require for the Chinese Z or work visa. So today what we're going to have a quick look at is the physical examination record for foreigner. Basically, this is the medical form that you need to complete as part of the visa process. And we're going to have a look at what needs to be done and a little bit of sort of an explanation about each part. This form looks much more intimidating and much more complicated than it actually is. So obviously we'll go through it and it shouldn't take that long. So basically at the top here, name, sex, date of birth, and then a photograph of yourself. The photo that would be used here would be the same kind of photo that you'd use for a passport and for other parts of the visa process. So picture your face, white background, that kind of thing. Present mailing address, nationality and place of birth. Your place of birth here must match your place of birth in your passport, otherwise it might cause complications down the road. So make sure that your place of birth in this part and place of birth in your passport match each other. So for this sort of top section, the only other part you have to fill out here is blood type. So this part maybe is a little bit more complicated. If you're like me and you don't know your blood type, then you're going to need to get a blood test and request information about your blood type. Now, there is blood tests that need to be taken for part of this medical process, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But the tests that they run on your blood work for that part do not test for blood type. So if you do not know your blood type, or your doctor doesn't know your blood type, you'll have to request an extra check to find out your blood type for this part here, okay? So then after that, if we zoom in a little bit here, it asks you, have you ever had any of the following diseases? Each item must be answered yes or no. So these are pretty standard stuff: typhus, polio, diphtheria, scarlet fever, relapsing fever, typhoid, dysentery, hepatitis, streptococcus infection, whatever that is, epidemic cerebrospinal meningitis. So just tick yes or no for each of these things. Don't leave any of them blank. All of them must have yes or no ticked next to them as well. Then we have this. Do you have any of the following diseases or disorders endangering the public order and security? Each item must be answered yes or no. So again, don't leave anything blank here. Toxicomania, mental confusion, and then there's 3 types of psychosis: manic psychosis, paranoid psychosis, and hallucinatory psychosis. Tick yes or no for all of those things as well. Next we get to the kind of sort of slightly more basic stuff. Height in centimeters, weight in kilograms, and then your blood pressure goes in here. So these 2 parts here, these next parts, development and nourishment, these were maybe the parts that confused me a little bit. Basically, this is just to make sure that you don't have anything like malnourishment or any sort of developmental problems. This is very straightforward. Once you take it to your physician or your GP if you're in the UK, or your doctor or whoever, this should be a pretty standard thing. They'll just fill this out. You don't need to worry too much about what it means. Then we have neck, so they'll check your neck for any lumps and things like that. Vision and corrected vision, so your left and right vision, and then your left and right vision with contact lenses or glasses. So what that means is, when you go for your medical, take your contact lenses and your glasses with you, or your prescription for your contact lenses and glasses, because they'll need to note those prescriptions in this corrected vision field. Eyes, they'll just do a quick eye examination to see if there's anything wrong with the actual eye, not with your vision, but with your eye. Colour sense, so this is checking for colour blindness. Skin, they'll have a look to see if you get any skin conditions. Lymph nodes, ears, nose, tonsils, hearts, lungs, abdomens. These are all pretty standard medical examinations for your medical check, and they'll go through these. Spine, extremities, nervous systems, and then other abnormal findings are listed here. So all of these things are pretty self-explanatory. Just your physician, your doctor, your GP, whoever, they'll know what to put in these sections and how to test for these. You don't really need to worry about that, but just make sure that all of these parts are filled out. This next part, these are the things that are not usually in a standard medical but are required for the visa. So one is a chest x-ray exam, so you'll need to get your physician or your GP to refer you for an exam, or you'll need to book a chest x-ray exam independently. Then there's also an ECG, same thing, either get referred by your doctor or book one independently. And then finally the laboratory exam. So basically the laboratory exam is blood work. They'll take blood and test it. The two things that they're going to test your blood for are HIV and AIDS and syphilis. So get your blood work done as well. You'll need to be referred for that or to book it independently, because it's not usually covered in a standard medical. And like I said before, if you or your doctor don't know your blood type, then you'll need to also request a blood type analysis at this section as well. Once all of that stuff's done, you'll have this last part here. So none of the following diseases or disorders found during the present examination. So cholera, yellow fever, plague, leprosy, venereal disease, tuberculosis, AIDS, and psychosis. If none of these have been found by your doctor, your GP, physician, they'll leave this blank. If one of them has been found, then they'll tick which one as well. Then finally, this part here, just a signature or a stamp. It does say official stamp. That's because in China, everything has to have a red stamp that you'll have seen in some of the other videos for the invitation letter and work permit and stuff like that. Obviously, in the US and the UK and Canada, whatever country, maybe don't have that stamp, but if your doctor does have a stamp, get them to stamp this as well. But as long as there's the signature of the physician and the date and stuff like that on it, then you should be okay. There shouldn't be any problems. Another thing to note with this as well is it's very likely that once you arrive in China, you'll also need to go through this physical again at a local Chinese hospital. While that's kind of unfortunate and maybe slightly inconvenient, it's just a standard procedure, so don't worry about that. And I think one final thing to note about this as well is if you do have something that's maybe ticked in this part here, like one of the following diseases you had in childhood, or something that's maybe a little bit abnormal, don't worry about it too much. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get a visa. They do let visas pass with some conditions as well, so don't worry too much if there is something on your medical check. As always, if you have any further questions, you want to send us a resume, anything like that, it's frarc@ef.com, fr_arc@ef.com. I've put the email address in the description below because obviously there's no slides for this one. And thanks again for watching the video, and I wish you the best of luck with your medical.